Hey guys, welcome to a weekly question video. If you want to leave us a question, details on how to do that is down below, as well as a link to our Patreon if you want to get bonus content and support the channel further. This week's question, somebody asked me, how often do you do maintenance? What does maintenance look like? How often are you punished? What are you punished for? So I'm going to briefly kind of go over all of those questions, as well as kind of talk through how we've set up our systems. So we do maintenance once a week. Our maintenance has recently changed. We've really kind of overhauled how we approach punishment and maintenance and just spanking in general in our relationship. And so we've recently transitioned all of our systems, and we really should do an updated podcast on that. Let us know if you would be interested in hearing kind of an overview of how we use punishment now. But we do maintenance once a week, and our maintenance basically is a shortened version of our punishments. And so typically maintenance happens on Saturdays or Sundays, depending on our schedule, but it happens over the weekend before we start our new week. And Coda will kind of look back on the week, give like a little bit of an overview, let me know if there was anything that maybe I was getting a little close on that I need to pay more attention to. But really it's just to kind of affirm our roles in our relationship. It's to put me in a position where I need to submit to his authority, and it puts him in a position to exercise that authority. And so it's just a way for us to basically maintain our roles by going through this process. Now, punishments happen rarely. When we're working on new habits, when we're working on new behaviors, punishments are going to happen more frequently. And as those behaviors and habits get more solidified, naturally the punishments become less and less frequent. And so I would say on average, considering all of that, on average, I get punished maybe once every couple weeks, about once or twice a month, really depending on where we are at in habit building and in trying to set new standards. And we also have in our relationship structure, we have shorter spankings that we don't consider full punishments, but they are corrective spankings. And those happen more often than punishments, but still probably once or twice a week. Just to kind of, it's almost like a warning, or it's a less severe spanking for something that's not going to be detrimental to the structure of our relationship, but it is something that, requires accountability. And so Coda will use those shorter correction spankings to address those things. And so those happen more often, but not terrible. I mean, that's not too bad. And so the way we've set up our structure is that there are certain things that are automatic punishments, that they don't get a warning, they don't get a corrective spanking, that they are just punishments. Those are things that would fall into those 4 Ds of domestic discipline, right? And so if I'm disrespectful, I don't get any type of warning. I don't get a verbal warning. It is a punishment right away, because that breaks down the structure of our relationship. That breaks down the authority in our relationship. And so that needs to be addressed, and that needs to be addressed seriously the first time. That doesn't happen very often. I think that it's rare that I am intentionally disrespectful to Coda. Also, anything that would be deemed unsafe, Coda does have some rules around things to ensure my safety, and he expects those rules to be followed, and when they're not, they are punished. He expects my honesty. He expects me to have integrity in that way. And when I am deceitful in any way towards him, he will punish me, because that is unacceptable. and it really breaks his trust in me, and it causes dissension in our relationship. And so that's really what you have to look at is this behavior, is this action causing dissension in the relationship? And those are the things that are going to be punished rather than corrected. And then disobedience. Like if Coda asks me to do something, and especially if I give him an attitude or if I'm really resistant, now if I'm just forgetful, that he takes that into consideration, because all of these things are nuanced. And so he takes situation into consideration. But if he asks me to do something and I refuse to do it, that is not something he's going to tolerate. That's something that he will punish. Now, the things that are corrected are more of the habit-based responsibilities that I have, but if I don't do them, they're not breaking down the trust and the respect and the structure of our relationship. And so it's things like I am responsible to clean our home and make the bed and do the dishes and all of those things, because I do stay home. That is my primary responsibility. And Coda expects me to fulfill those responsibilities. But if I don't manage my time well, if I don't do those things for no good reason, then he will give me correction for that. And so it's not that those things get overlooked. It's not that those things are not considered important, but he really saves punishment for the things that really break down the foundation of our relationship, and he uses correction for the things that he expects me to do, but if they're not done, they're not breaking down the foundation of our relationship, but because I am expected to do them, because they are my responsibilities, he still offers that correction when it is needed. Now, if I don't fulfill my responsibilities, if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do on a consistent basis, if I miss several habits, several responsibilities in a day, then those things can turn into punishment. He's not going to let me continually have bad habits and bad behaviors. And so he can turn those into punishments at his discretion, but more often than not, he'll lean into correction for those things. Correction also is to correct a bad attitude before it turns into disrespect. One of the things that we've really tried to hone in on in our relationship is to not let behaviors and not let things build up to a point of needing punishment. And so if he can tell that I'm really stressed out, or I'm on edge, or I'm just kind of having a little bit of a bad attitude, but it hasn't turned into disrespect, it hasn't turned into disobedience, he will go ahead and offer correction so that I have the motivation to turn my behavior around, so that he doesn't have to punish me later for becoming disrespectful because I'm overwhelmed. And so that's another way that he uses correction as a tool to help me be who he needs me to be in our relationship in a way that honors his authority and honors our agreement of domestic discipline. And so that's kind of how we build in our structures. That's kind of how we build in our what is a punishment, what is correction, what am I responsible for, what are considered behavior issues versus just responsibilities and habits, right? And so if you want me to go into like, what does a typical punishment look like, let me know, because I am more than happy to do that. And like I said, it's been a while since we have talked about that, and things are very, very different now in how we approach that than they were the last time we talked about it. So if you'd like an update on that, let me know. And if you have any questions, put those down below as well. And as always, hope you enjoyed this video, and we will talk to you next week.